Hello, Aquarius. If you're hearing this right now, it's probably not a coincidence. Not because you randomly clicked, not because of an algorithm, but because something inside you maybe very quietly called you here. And I believe it's a deeper part of you wanting to be seen, to be understood, to finally hear the sound of its own voice after a long road of living for everyone else. Maybe you're sitting in a familiar room. Maybe you're driving. Or maybe you're doing something ordinary just like any other day. But right now in this moment, I want you to pause, just for a breath, and feel something simple. You are not alone. You have not been forgotten. Because what you're about to hear is not just an update, not just a prediction. It's a mirror, a doorway, a quiet reminder from the universe that you're standing near a turning point. Not loud, not dramatic, but in a way that's very Aquarius, subtle, refined, yet powerful enough to shift an energy axis that's been frozen for too long. You know, in my work with thousands of people, I've witnessed many moments of transformation. But there's a special kind of shift that doesn't come from effort or endless trying. It comes in the moment someone stops running from their own truth. When they stop ignoring that silent call they've been hearing inside their heart for years. Aquarius, that's you. You don't like noise. You don't like being boxed in. And sometimes you're so good at holding it all together, you make the whole world believe you're fine. But today, I'm not here to ask if you're okay. I'm here to tell you something is coming, not to test you, but to return to you what life has owed you for far too long. Do you remember the last time you felt protected, defended, standing in the light? Sometimes we move through life as if we have to fight alone. Be everything. Be strong. Be calm. Be kind. Even when inside we're breaking into pieces. And then we go silent, because who cares, right? But the truth is, there are things you don't have to shout for, the universe still hears. There are karmic debts you don't have to chase, life is already arranging the payment. There are forms of justice that don't sit in a courtroom, they show up in the strange timing of a message, a phone call, a legal email arriving just when you were about to give up. And maybe that's what's happening to you now. You didn't come to this message for entertainment. You came because a part of you, maybe the part you overlook, is starting to believe. I deserve to receive, and not just anything, but something that's been delayed, buried, silenced for far too long. It might be an asset, a contract, a payment, or a forgotten right. But deeper than that, it's the return of your faith in fairness. Not fairness made by people, but fairness at the level of frequency. The balance of karma, the light that follows years of quiet carrying no one ever saw. And if you're feeling something in your chest right now, a soft ache without a reason, a faint echo like you've heard this story before, I want you to know, you're not imagining it. This is really happening. Nothing is random. And if today you get an invitation, a call, or a strange sign connected to something legal, don't dismiss it too quickly. Listen. Because sometimes a lawyer doesn't show up just to solve a problem. They arrive to hand back what was lost, your recognition. And this is where the journey begins, where you realize you didn't find this message found you. There is a kind of justice that no document can describe, no judge can declare, and no human words can define. But still, you feel it, like the sound of water echoing in an old well, like a quiet warmth spreading through your chest on a cold winter morning. No one says it out loud, but you know, something sacred is being returned to you, something far beyond a reward. It's your sense of worth. Aquarius, you don't live for applause. You don't wait for anyone to stand up for you. You walk through the dark corridors of life with your own light. Silent, steady, and unshaken. But no matter how strong you are, there may have been moments you whispered to yourself, "Have I been forgotten by fairness?" Maybe you were the last one keeping a promise, the only one who stayed when everyone else turned away. And then you kept living like it was normal, but your heart remembers, your body stores it, and your soul quietly waits for the day the universe finally stands with you, not for show, just for truth. And now that day, it's starting to arrive, not through a grand verdict, but through something small, a tiny movement of destiny, a legal letter, a random call. An email you almost deleted without reading, but behind it, an entire current of energy is shifting. And no, you won't have to scream to prove you deserve it, because you always have. Some debts never need to be collected. They find their way back on their own. Some injustices never need to be shouted about because time always reveals the truth. Some apologies are never spoken, and yet you still get to heal. And Aquarius, what's coming to you now isn't measured by a bank balance. It's measured by a feeling that finally you're no longer the only one who sees your value. For most people, a legal case is just numbers, headaches, paperwork, but for you, it's a symbol of the journey to reclaim your voice, proof that truth, even when delayed, will always find its way back to the heart pure enough to hold it. This is not human law, this is soul law, and I need you to hear this, really hear it, because maybe you've forgotten how far you've come. The sleepless nights, the empty days, the quiet tears you swallowed just to keep peace around you. Maybe you forgot or forced yourself to forget that you're human too, that you too have the right to be recognized, to be protected, to choose a life that doesn't require constant defense. The universe hasn't forgotten you. Even when you pulled back, it still saw you. And now that you're no longer chasing the wind, the door begins to open. Not to prove you're better than anyone, but so you no longer have to suffer. Justice doesn't exist to make you right. It exists to release you from having to carry the wrong. And once that kind of justice begins to settle in your bones, you'll start to sense something else quietly taking form. Not loud, not obvious, but clear enough to make you pause. It's a flow of money. A current that's been blocked for far too long, now moving again in a strange, beautiful way. Not because you demanded it, but because you've finally become peaceful enough to receive it as a new form of liberation. You see, some doors only open when you stop trying to force them. Some money flows only begin to move when you stop trying to control them. And some blessings only arrive when you stop begging and instead choose to trust. Aquarius, I know you've walked through long winters without telling anyone. Days when you smiled, kept working, kept showing up for others, even as your finances quietly bled like a wound no one could see. Maybe you borrowed from your own optimism just to keep going. You got used to giving without knowing when, or if, you'd receive anything in return, but still, you kept going. And now, like a quiet message from the universe, a flow of money is on its way back to you. It might be a delayed contract, a grant you gave up on, an inheritance that was once frozen, or even a karmic debt someone owed you. Not in dollars, but in clarity. Whatever the form, what's truly happening here isn't just a payout. It's a release. Not from a bank, not from a government agency, but from the stagnant energy that's been stuck in your field for far too long. You've spent money in fear of losing control. Your mind has raced just trying to keep up. You felt guilty for even thinking of buying something just to bring yourself a little joy. But today, you're different. You're standing in a deeper space now, a place where you understand. Money isn't proof that you've beaten life. Money is simply a tool to help you pause, to help you breathe, and to rebuild your life on the foundation of inner freedom. Don't see this financial return as a reward for your suffering. See it as the universe pulling back your fear and placing in your hands a symbol of new independence, because when you hold money with clarity, not to escape, not to numb, but to choose, that's when you step into a new dimension of sovereignty. And that sovereignty, it doesn't live in your bank balance. It lives in the quiet strength of no longer trembling at the thought of tomorrow. It lives in the choice to no longer spend to fill a void, but to invest in what frees you, what calms you, what unhooks you. It might mean learning a new skill, choosing rest, saying no to what once drained you. I'm not saying you need to have a perfect plan for what to do with this money. All I ask is this: place your hand on your heart and ask yourself, what would make me feel more free? Not just today, but in the long run. Maybe it's paying off an old debt. Maybe it's buying something small just for yourself, as a reminder that you matter. Or maybe it's quietly saving it, as a promise to yourself that you will never again let someone pull you back into scarcity. Not financially, not emotionally. Aquarius, if this is resonating, don't rush into action. First, just breathe. Let your body register this. Lack no longer controls you. And then you'll begin to realize true abundance doesn't come from how much you have. It comes from no longer needing to trade your soul to get it, and in that exact moment, when you finally allow yourself to believe you deserve abundance, something else will begin to loosen too, not just your finances, but the burdens you've carried for others for far too long. Not loud, but clear, like something within you is finally setting itself free. And this time, not for anyone else, but for you. There's a kind of exhaustion that doesn't live in the muscles, it lives in the chest. A weight you can't see, but you feel it every time you wake up, like something invisible is anchoring you down, even though you're still smiling, still living, still playing your part. Aquarius, you are the kind of person others lean on. They pour into you all the things they don't know what to do with. Their responsibilities, their expectations, their unresolved emotions. They see your calmness and assume you can carry just a little bit more, but they don't know you have limits too, and you've crossed those limits, quietly, more times than anyone realizes. You carry words left unspoken, feelings left unprocessed, roles that were never yours to hold, but you accepted them anyway, because you believed that without you, everything would fall apart. So you kept trying to hold it all together, even as you quietly broke apart inside. But there comes a moment when you have to ask yourself, what am I still carrying that no longer belongs to me? Maybe it's the guilt of saying no. Maybe it's the habit of being the peacemaker, even when you're the one most hurt. Maybe it's the need to always be strong, so no one sees you weak. Maybe it's the image you built of yourself, an ideal version that you're secretly tired of pretending to be. It's time to look at every piece of spiritual baggage and gently set it down. Not with anger, but with awareness, because real release doesn't happen when you scream. It happens in a quiet whisper to yourself. I don't need this anymore. And in that moment of letting go, a space opens up inside you, wide enough for new light to enter. I invite you to write it down. 10 things you're no longer willing to carry. Write from truth, not kindness. Write so you can hear yourself clearly, not for anyone else to understand. You might be surprised by what shows up. You might cry. You might feel guilty. But you know what? That is the healing ritual, because only when you name what must leave can you finally welcome what deserves to stay. And when you do, you'll feel lighter, not because someone came to fix it for you, but because you, for the first time in a long time, allowed yourself to breathe without holding it in. Letting go doesn't mean abandoning others. Letting go means no longer betraying yourself. It means no longer forcing yourself to hold everything together while you're quietly falling apart. Aquarius, you don't need to carry it all alone to prove your worth. You don't have to stay silent just to keep the peace. And you don't have to hold on to old roles just because someone once expected it of you. You are changing. You are evolving in the direction your soul has longed for. And anything that no longer reflects who you are today, let it leave, lovingly, fully, because when you finally let go, what comes back isn't just relief. It's a deep, quiet peace that makes you ask, why didn't I do this sooner? And right there, in the place where you've released the burdens that were never yours, a new sound begins to echo, softly, but clear enough to feel. Something inside you is beginning to heal through silence. And then you'll see, sometimes the only thing stopping the water from flowing was the stone you thought you had to hold forever. There are some knocks on the door that don't echo outside. They come gently from within, as if something old inside you is quietly asking to be closed, not with noise, but with a silence so deep you can hear your soul sigh. Aquarius, sometimes people return from the past, not to reconnect, but to close something that was never fully spoken, an unfinished loop, a chapter left open in your heart. Even though on the outside you've kept on living as if it never happened. It might come as a sudden message, a dream that leaves you unsettled all day, a familiar name that shows up. In the middle of an otherwise normal afternoon, you didn't call them, you weren't thinking of them. But the energy, it's still there, like an invisible thread still tying up a small part of your heart. And you already know this, not everyone who returns is meant to be welcomed back in. But if a door was never closed, the wind will keep getting in. Your healing journey doesn't ask you to turn back. It only asks you to face what you once stayed silent about, because back then you didn't have the strength to fully feel it. Now you're different, not stronger to fight, but steady enough not to need to. Letting go of a connection doesn't mean you hate them. It doesn't mean you were wrong to love them. Letting go simply means we've walked far enough together, and now it's time our paths become our own. You don't need an apology to forgive. You don't need a long conversation for closure. Sometimes all you need is to place your hand over your heart and whisper, "I'm okay now." You can do that in the smallest ways. Light a pink candle, write a letter you'll never send. Walk in the rain, take a deep breath into your chest where old grief has been resting for years. And when you do that, you're not doing it for them, you're doing it for you. Because you deserve to live lighter, to love again, without dragging the shadows of the past, to enter a new story, without echoing the one that ended. Aquarius, forgiveness isn't giving someone another chance, it's giving yourself a chance to be free without having to guard the past or fight to forget it. The deepest forgiveness needs no witness. It happens quietly within, soft as wind moving through your thoughts, like a breath you once held, now finally released. Warm and gentle when you forgive, you are not weak. You are reclaiming your freedom. The freedom to not flinch at their name, to not feel uneasy when someone brings them up, to not hide your tears when the memories resurface. You won't forget, but now, you don't have to hold on either, and strangely enough, right where you pause to breathe for peace, instead of running from pain, you'll feel a new rhythm awaken within. Deeper, calmer, steadier, because in the end, maybe what you truly needed wasn't someone coming back, but a quiet space, to finally hear yourself again, and from that stillness, something else will become crystal clear. You've already passed through the storm, and now you are stepping into your own light, not alone, but with the sacred power to choose your life all over again in a completely new way. There are victories that don't come with fireworks. No applause, no spotlight, no podium, no one cheering your name. Just a strange, quiet moment where you sit down, alone, and realize, I didn't give up. Aquarius, you didn't rise by stepping on anyone. You didn't trade your soul for status. You walked a path that even you weren't always sure would lead anywhere, but you kept going. No noise, no need for recognition, just staying true to your heart. And today, even if no one places a medal around your neck, the universe has seen. What you receive now is not a reward handed to you. It's the quiet return of something that was always yours. In the world of tarot, the Six of Wands isn't just about success. It's a soul-level acknowledgement, the kind that arrives after silent effort, after quiet endurance, after choosing kindness while you were still hurting. Your victory doesn't need to be proven because it's written in the way you've changed. You no longer react, you respond. You no longer rush, you walk with peace. You no longer avoid. Face it, the miracle is not in what you receive, but in what you now have the power to choose. You get to choose your time again, not to fill it with what drains you. You get to say no without guilt. You get to choose who walks with you, not just who's always been there. Choice, that is your new definition of wealth. And what makes this victory sacred is that it didn't arrive when you were still trying to prove your worth. It started moving. The moment you sat down, took a breath, placed your hand on your heart, and whispered, I am enough. Maybe you used to think you had to do more, be more, achieve more. But today the truth is, you've done enough and you're becoming the version of yourself you once wished you'd meet in this lifetime. True growth doesn't come from how much you've achieved, but from no longer losing yourself in chasing what's outside. And now, as everything begins returning to where it belongs, I gently invite you to affirm one thing with the universe. I choose my life again. No capital letters, no bold font, no applause needed. Just write it down in the calm presence of someone who's walked through fire and still kept their light intact. And from that light, you'll begin to see clearer than ever. The next step isn't to keep running, it's to reimagine your life, not through old fears, but through new freedom. There's something few people will ever tell you. Imagination is not escapism. It is the highest form of setting an intention. When you picture a better version of your life, you're not running away from reality. You're designing a new one. For Aquarius, who naturally lives more in the inner world, this idea isn't unfamiliar, but today, I invite you to do something different. Don't just visualize vaguely in your mind. Write it down clearly, in detail, in the present tense, as if you're describing a day that has already happened. Start with the morning. Where do you wake up? What does the air feel like? Who is beside you? What are you wearing, eating, hearing? Birdsong or ocean waves? What does your schedule look like? And most importantly, how do you feel living as this version of yourself? Let your words become a living guide for the universe, a soul map, because the universe doesn't respond to empty wishes. It moves with the energy of aligned clarity. And if you want to amplify that energy, create small rituals to support it. A fresh flower on your desk, a golden candle lit at dawn, a soft 528 Hz frequency playing as you write, a quiet space where you can dream yourself back without the noise of the outside world. Aquarius, you don't need to have everything figured out. You just need a clear sense of how you want to feel every day. And from that, begin to live as if it's already here. Don't be afraid to dream big. Don't hold back from writing what feels far away, because the vibration of your belief, your emotion, your heart, is the signal the universe needs, and you'll be amazed to see doors will begin to shift, not because you force them open, but because you've finally opened yourself. There's a quiet power in this truth. When you imagine sincerely, you're not demanding life to change. You're inviting it in. And here, at the gentle end of this journey, if you carry just one thing with you, let it be this. You are never lost in this world. You are a creator, a soul who remembers the way home, someone who doesn't just survive, but lives with meaning, with light, with direction. Thank you for staying until the end, not just with me, but with yourself. May you always be free to live as you are, in light, in truth, and in unwavering belief, in the goodness still ahead of you, peace in every choice you make. You are worthy, and the universe is listening, always.